Hello and welcome to part one of a two-part FC Isle of Man special. This week, my guests are Ian Stoddart, or as you might know him on Twitter, Ravens 12th man, and Mike Holt, member of the media team and podcast host for FC Isle of Man. First off, we're going to have Ian on the show, and in part two, we are going to speak to Mike. Before I kick off the show, we've got two games before the Isle of Man game. We are hosting Burscough at Gig Lane this Saturday. Get down, get behind the lads, let's cheer them on. The run-in starts now. Following that, we are away the rearranged fixture against Cheadletown on Tuesday. It's a lovely ground, great place to go, really friendly. They do nice beer, and they've even got a big main stand that's really nice and great to watch the game from. So get down, show your support. Also, for the game on Saturday, I'm hearing that the club has had a big restock full of loads of lovely new gear in the club shop. So get down, grab some Shakers gear to wear as you walk up and down the promenade in Douglas on the Isle of Man next weekend. Right, well, I'm going to stop waffling on and I'm going to say, Ian, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Johnny. Yeah, good, thanks.
Can you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about how you fell in love with FC Isle of Man?
Yeah, my name's Ian Stoddart. Probably better known through the @the Ravens Twitter account. That was set up way back when the FC Isle of Man started going, if you like. One of my friends who became a director, he set up a Facebook page which primarily was for home fans. The Twitter thing was more for away fans. And the Twitter account was set up a bit of an afterthought, really. And it was, funnily enough, a lot of what I did at the time was answering COVID queries. And that's when I really got involved with FC Isle of Man going to away games, because the first one came up. There'd been this talk about a new team being set up for quite a few years. When the first one came up, it was a bit of a release to get off the island, to be honest. That was the first thing. But then a bit of rubbernecking to go and see what it was all about. First game was at Main Road in July 21. And I've never really been to non-league in the past. When I lived across in England, I'd always been to EFL or Premier League. So thinking, this is really, really interesting. There was maybe only a handful of people went from the island because of the COVID restrictions, but there were Manx people that live in and around Manchester that went to the game as well. And that's where it started, and it's just really snowballed since then. It's like a drug. Cannot do without home or away games, to be honest.
It's yeah. You said your first game at Main Road because you entered the league the same year Bury AFC entered the league, didn't you?
Yeah, we were Division One South.
South, and we were Division One North, and we didn't cross paths until last year.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it must have been exciting on the island when the team sort of came together, because I know there's a lot of local teams. When we came last season, just driving across the island, you could see there was a lot of football games on. So is it just a case of it's bringing together of all the best players from those teams, essentially?
Yeah, pretty much. I think there's 25 or 26 clubs on the island. Each of those has a first team and a second team. So effectively, you've got like 50 teams, more or less. And if you've got, say, 20, 25 players each, that's maybe 1,000, 1,500, that sort of region of players that play. And I think for a long time, there's been a bit of a glass ceiling on the island. There were like 3 or 4 really, really dominant teams. FC Isle of Man came, there was a sort of concept that people wanted to test island play in England. Yeah. Otherwise, they're all just sort of stagnating. To be clear here, there's FC Isle of Man is a club team. The Isle of Man FA, to which FC Isle of Man is affiliated, the Isle of Man FA has a national team. Now, as it stands, a lot of the FC Isle of Man players, if they wanted to, now could play for the national team. Back in the early 2000s, actually going back even before that, Bury used to come across to the island quite a lot for the team packet. I don't know if you remember that. Well, so there was an Isle of Man 11 used to play and sort of compete. And then there was the Isle of Man national team played in I think it's the FA Interleague Cup, where all the different FAs within England, including the Isle of Man, Jersey, and Guernsey, I think, competed. The ultimate prize of that was to represent England in a UEFA Regions Cup. And I think, sorry, FA, man. The Isle of Man FA twice won it, once lost in a final. And so I sort of guessed that some of the players that were playing and the management at the time thought, you know what, we could take it a step further. Um, hence, setting up the FC Isle of Man as a club team to play in leagues across.
Excellent. I mean, I've been over to a game on Douglas, and it's fantastic. Just what they've got set up. I mean, it's a really, really, really good away day. It's a nice ground. The people are friendly until the game starts, obviously, and then they were haranguing me from the sidelines while I was trying to take pictures. But it's all a bit of banter, isn't it? And then all the people at the club, just such nice people. I mean, it just must feel good that the island have come together to be able to put a team forward to represent at that stage, really.
I mean, the island is well practiced at welcoming people across because, I mean, you get tens of thousands. You'll have heard about the TT. You get tens of thousands coming across for that. So they know what the score is as far as putting events on. And FC Isle of Man is just a continuation of that, obviously, about football. The people here are just so welcoming, really are. It starts off before the game. I'm sure you get a welcome at the airport. You obviously know about the Pinewood, where we get fans to go down there. I'm sure that, the ground, it is, like you say, it's very much a case of banter. It's friendly banter. It's nothing like, EFL and that type of stuff. And then, of course, you've got the Saturday night out to enjoy in Douglas as well.
Yes.
I think it's like we have 23 stag weekends, effectively, when teams come across, the teams and the supporters. It is... you're playing in Manchester every week or Liverpool every other weekend sort of thing. When you come across the island, it's like the big weekend away. And everybody here knows that it's the fixture that everybody looks to. I suppose this season, the two fixtures that they looked to was one going to Gig Lane, yours, and the other is coming across to the island.
That was probably one of my favourite games we've had this season because we had all your lot in the stand after, and you didn't have to rush off. I think you stayed for a good hour after the game. All had a beer. It was really good. Because a lot of teams don't bring a very big following. They just tend to come, watch the game, and then they tend to leave after. It was great just to see you all sticking about, enjoying it, the camaraderie. It was fantastic.
Yeah, well, that shows, doesn't it? Because, I mean, the main road away game, like I say, that was the first game we had. I think there was maybe 6 or 8 went from the island with the team, and there was maybe 10, 20 or so like that, Manx supporters across there. Well, we've got from, what was it, July 21 to what are we now, February 24. There's a fella called Bruce who's set up, the overall group is called The Conspiracy. That's a group of Ravens. He's set up like a regular travel away days. And I mean, now we're getting 100 at Bury, regularly getting 40, 50. And, it's just growing. Next season, I just sort of, you anticipate that it's going to be even better.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things. One of the things that I like about this level of football is it's the people, I think, more than anything else, and the connections you make. Me and you were doing this social media stuff. I mean, you can quite freely talk to other supporters just like that. You can talk to players, you can talk to managers, you can talk to chairmen, and it's just across the board, all the volunteers. And I think it's just, there's like an honesty and authenticity about this level of football, which is, far removed from what you see on the Premier League and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's the extra, you just got to have a little bit of extra respect for these lads when you know that some of them might have spent all day laying bricks or up and down a ladder doing a roof or under someone's toilet doing the plumbing, and then they've come and put on 90 minutes for you on a Tuesday night. It's massive respect, and nothing against EFL football, Premier League football. I've watched EFL football all my life till we got expelled from the league, but they're a lot more looked after certainly
Oh yeah,
than they are, and I don't think that between League Two and what I'm watching with Bury, I don't think that there is much of a difference. I mean, the only difference is I think the fitness really, and that's because these
yeah,
professionals are playing and the decision making sometimes, but
yeah,
the professionals are training every day,
yeah. Of
whereas
course.
your amateur players are going to work. But yeah, no, I think fantastic football,
Yeah,
and I mean, whenever I've seen Isle of Man and I've seen highlights or I've seen bits of video or I've seen your players, considering that the pool of players is considerably smaller than that of teams over on the
yeah,
mainland, he's put together a really good team.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
I've got to plug our lads as well because you mentioned about the people who work in laying bricks and stuff like that. I mean, ours, particularly the first season and for away games subsequently, the first season, I forget if it was 14, 15, 16, something like that, back to back away games. So, I mean, that meant every Saturday for best part of 3 months was up early. And by early, I mean sort of 4 or 5 o'clock to get a boat at 6 o'clock to sort of get across 3 hour ferry journey, which is not always the best. We've had players laid on the deck because it's been that rough. Then they've got to kick their heels for another couple of hours until kickoff comes around. Obviously, it's a bit different when they're flying, but it's still that sort of you're not getting to the ground 2 hours before you've got a void to fill.
Yeah.
And then they've got all that to contend with. Then they've got to go and play a decent level of football against, some academy players, in the Manchester teams and ex-academy players and stuff like that. Really take out my hat off to our lads, especially so. Really do.
Well, I think when you came to Radcliffe last year, I think you might have just made it by the skin of your teeth for the game. You
Yeah,
got delayed at the island end, was it? The
that's right. Yeah,
flight was delayed, and
yeah,
kick-off got pushed back 15 minutes, but
yeah,
it was still a good game of football. I couldn't tell
yeah.
you the score off the top of my head, but it was a good
You know
got
what it was.
got a better memory than me. Uh,
It was more than three. Let's put it that way.
and yeah, it's just great just seeing how people have got behind the club. I mean, more so, and you see it everywhere. Your first season, obviously the attendances was sky high.
Yeah,
They've levelled off a little bit now, but they're still very, very good. Regularly a thousand, aren't you? Is it over there?
we're sort of upper end of I'd say 750, 800 at the
Yeah,
moment. We've got some good games still to come. Yourselves, obviously, that'll be pushing. I think at least 1,500, maybe touch 2,000. With the overall interest that's involved, and the sort of knock on from that. If we do well against Bury, I'm sure people will sort of keep coming back. But yeah, 700, 800, that sort of level.
yeah, and which is great support for what is essentially it's Division 9 football
Yeah,
in such a small market.
yeah.
You know, I'll move on to my next question. What's been the obviously the best moment so far in the journey of FC Isle of Man?
It's it's got to be promotion. Promotion. We did it actually. It was a League and Cup double first season. I mean, when they started, it was stepping into the unknown. Obviously, they'd not been at that level before. We'd had players gone across for trials at clubs and stuff like that. But as I mentioned about that inter regions cup and stuff like that, was the only real test they'd had. So it started off, and it's funny how it transpired. We played the top five teams, the champions, and the four that finished in the playoff places. We played all those other four fairly early on in the season. Abbey Hay, Mills, West Didsbury, and who was the other one? Wythenshawe Amateurs. And you sort of sensed, because obviously people had told us they're the best team, we competed really well against them. You thought, well, if we're doing that really well at the beginning of the season, we could actually go quite far. And I think there was a standout game for me was the New Mills one, a away game, which was a fierce battle for a number of reasons. And they came through that, and I thought, crikey, they're going to go places, this team. And the momentum just kept building and building. They're winning all these games. Sean Doyle, our forward, was scoring goals left, right, and centre. 4-1 game, 6 the next game. And you thought, this is not going to stop. And it was just the rise right through to the end. We actually touched first place at one point, which was a fantastic game against West Didsbury. 3-1 down with, I don't know, minutes to go. We finished up winning 4-3. There was about 2,500 in the ground. by itself as one game, that was a real standout one in the season. But then obviously we got through to the playoffs. First game against Wythenshawe Amateurs, another good game. Beat New Mills. Benito nearly broke our hearts, to be fair. Scored a goal just before half time. Went on to win that one 4-2. And you think, can it get any better? The manager at the time, as is happening now, is like had I wouldn't say a second string, but almost like a development team of all the youngsters, which he purposely played them throughout the Edward Case Cup, and they kept on winning that. And he thought it's going to happen again. Played up against Camel Laird, really tight game. The young lads came through. We won that 1-0. So he thought, wow, this is something else. The second season, up against first game of the season, Lower Breck, top man Sean Doyle got taken out, and he was out for best part of the season, well, long part of the season. So we sort of middled out a little bit. A lot of the younger lads got a lot more experience as they have done this season. And I sort of think going into next season, we could, be there or thereabouts, I think. This season, I think we're going to just probably miss out on the playoffs at the moment. But next season, you just sort of think with the experience the young lads are getting, and there's a lot of, teenagers that 40, 50 games under the belts, could look good next season, I think.
Is that young lad still playing for you that scored against us? With the long hair. Ed Band scored a header at your place last season.
Was that? Mike Williams. Was it? I think it was Mike
Came
Williams.
off the bench. Very cocky.
They're all cocky. They're all very confident lads.
Yeah.
God, I can't remember who scored. The one with long hair.
It was the last goal, I think.
I think it was Mike Williams. Well, he's an absolute Trojan in the middle of midfield. We've got a lot of players. I mean, he's not giving anything away. I know Benito said on one of his podcasts that you watch videos of the other team, so it's not giving any secrets away. But I mean, you can run through our team. We've got, exciting players that get you on the edge of your seat, like Charlie Higgins, Dean Pinnington, played for Wigan and Wolves across. Lots of young lads. Callum Sherry's just come back from America. We've got a lot of players that go from the island to, do these scholarship things in America. So he's just come back from that. Really good goalie. You remember Ben Wilkinson, another young lad. Loads of saves against you last season. Yeah. Kyle Watson, midfield. Overrun with teenagers that are, really good quality and lots with experience.
I remember in the build-up to that last game last season, and you had that young lad in the net, and it's like, God, they've got a young lad in the net. Lad should have a field day here, and he had the absolute game of his career. It's like, just wouldn't. The amount of shots, it was just, he had a very good game, he's a very good goalkeeper. And he's still with you, is he?
He is. Yeah, but I forget who it was who said you never win anything with kids. You do with the Isle of Man.
Apparently so, yeah. Now, apart from, I'm going to sound very cocksure here, apart from the blindingly obvious, being Gig Lane and Bury away, obviously, what's been the best away day in the counties or the cup?
That is so difficult. There's a fella called Pete Clark who, with the supporters, have coined a phrase: "Away days are brilliant." You can't have a bad away day. Yeah. I mean, which one would you pick? Barnoldswick is absolutely ace. I think the places like for me anyway, Barnoldswick or Barlick, Colne. Who else is out that way?
I love Cone's ground. Ground's nice.
So I mean, all those sort of grounds you've got, obviously watching the game, but in the background you've got the hills and all that sort of stuff. Wythenshawe Amateurs, Wythenshawe Town. I'd come back to the people, and the people make the games. You come away from games quite often, or I do, forgetting the scores, and you think, yeah, I contacted, I was in touch with Johnny Bass for, Warren at Bury, Lorraine at Longridge, and it just go.
We had Lorraine on this show.
Did you? She's lovely, yeah. So that's what I mean, and it's all those sort of people that you come away with, and you just think, yeah, people like Rick Barrett at Prestwich Ayres this Saturday, and there's just so many. So one particular favourite ground, I'd be just so, I don't think I could have one. Yeah. It's like, what's your favourite single? What's your favourite LP? I mean, how do you pick?
I mean, a personal favourite of mine, I don't know if you ever got to go up there, Cleatamore was a good away day for us.
No.
Just because, nothing on the pitch, but just because of the the support that travelled after the game in the bar was fantastic, and then we had a really, really fun coach drive home, and Cleator Moor from Bury is about 4 hours, so you can imagine like what I was like. But it's one of them because you've got to go right up and around the
Round,
lakes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Holker's up there, isn't it?
Hulk. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the worst away day.
Is it?
It rained sideways for the entirety of the time
Quite
we were
open,
there.
yeah.
There were people in the one stand behind the goal
Yeah.
with umbrellas. I was meant to be coming back on the coach from that one, but by the time the game had finished and we were that wet, Steve, one of the other lads on the media team, he'd driven up and I said, "You got heated seats in your car, Steve?" He went, "Yes, I'm coming home with you." So I went back with him. But their clubhouse was very nice. The limited time I spent in it, and it was very, very busy. But it's a very again, that's like the focal point, isn't it, of the village? It's up on the top of that hill, all exposed to all the weather. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, you're touching on something there, which I think the Isle of Man has really bought into, is these community clubs. I mean, FC, when they first started up, obviously the board and all that had an absolute massive amount on the plate. But I mentioned Andy at the beginning, who set up the supporters club way back when. That's sort of being reincarnated this season. And I mean, the club sort of opened the doors, basically. I mean, one of the best examples, opened the doors as far as getting, help and support off the supporters. And one of the best examples of that is the programme, which there's about 4 or 5 features in there, which is done by supporters. The away match travel, mentioned before. There's Mel and Ken do the stats in the middle, the sort of centre spread. Raymond the Raven couldn't be on tonight, but you know him, he's got a corner. So I mean,
I'll give him a cuddle when I'm over next week.
He'll love it.
Well, I'm on to the last topic really for us now.
Okay.
And that's Douglas itself, and obviously they know how to, like you say, put on a good welcome because they do the TT every year. And Bury aren't going to send over nearly as many as come over to watch the TT, although we'd like to. But last time I came over, it was like a little bit like Bury on Sea, because it was a really nice sunny day, and we were walking up and down the front, and you couldn't go 20 yards without bumping into someone in a Bury shirt, or Isle of Man fans even were out and about, and it was a really good day. The players were up and down the promenade, mixing and mingling with everyone. Not quite sure whether it's going to be like that this time because it's February.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely place, and what can the fans that haven't been before, expect when they arrive in Douglas?
Yeah, well, I mean, you sort of touched upon it there. I mean, the welcome first thing, everybody's going to, look after you as far as that goes. Douglas obviously is the main hub where there's plenty of things to do, I suppose. If people are coming on the Saturday morning, it will be Saturday morning, they're sort of going to get pretty much straight to the game, I would think. Maybe have a 1 or 2 bars that they can meet in beforehand. But then the night out afterwards, I mean, there's loads of bars to go into, loads of pubs. There's the Pinewood before the game. There's lots of places to eat. If I can give a plug to actually a sandwich bar that's just opened up, not to do with me, so I'm getting no commission or anything like that, called, I've got to be careful here because it's on live on air, Fork It, which is really popular with FC Isle of Man fans. We use that before we go to a game.
I thought I had one on my desk that I could hold up, but I've not.
So you've got to be really careful how I say that, otherwise you'll be bleeping.
YouTube, if you're listening, Fork It.
Knife and Fork It, yeah. So, there's loads of places. I mean, wherever you go, you can have a good time.
So I think...
Go on.
I think the one popular one that we should touch on is the Quids In.
Quids In, yeah. Music bar, yeah.
Don't forget to get your pound.
Yeah.
You have to go and find a Manx pound somewhere before you go in. Or you're not getting in.
You're not getting in.
I didn't get in there last time because we went straight after the game. We went out for a Chinese. And by the time we got down to the other end, everyone was coming out the Quids In and going into Jack's. So I didn't go in the Quids In. But we're going on the Friday this time. So.
Yeah, well, actually, Friday is when Quids have music on.
Dusty Plankton, this
What?
time.
Is that
Dusty
what it
Plankton
was?
is on. No, this time.
Well, this time you've already checked.
They've booked them again at the request of the Berry fans, apparently. So,
Well, you see what I mean? I mean, that's what they do. You put on. It's not just getting a single played. You're actually getting a band put on for you.
there we go. There was a band on in Jack's last time. They were fantastic. It was
Yeah.
great. I think we tore the roof off
Yeah.
Jack's. It was fantastic.
Well, of course, you know the most famous band from the Isle of Man, don't you? I've already seen one or two photographs on social media. The Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees,
They've had the berry scarves on, the flags on, and stuff like that. I think that's going to be another one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? When you're walking up and down the front, look for the statues. There's quite a few different ones, isn't there, up and down the front. There's the Bee Gees, Norman Wisdom. Is there another one?
George Formby's another one. He's tucked away a little bit, but yeah. Get your photographs taken with them.
Yeah. If there's anyone there early as well, they can hop on the train there, and you can go and see some bits.
I mean, if people are there, I mean, that's what I try to encourage people. If they're getting there, not just on the Saturday, don't just stay in Douglas. Peel's an ace place. You can get the steam train down to Castletown, Port Erin, even get up to Ramsey on the electric rail. I'm pretty sure it's running at the moment. But I mean, don't just stick in Douglas, because there's an awful lot. You can actually go halfway up Snaefell, and there's a restaurant there called the Victory Cafe. Again, I'm not on commission, but that is a stunning place to go to. If people just go a little bit further afield than Douglas, there's a lot to be seen here.
Fantastic. No, it's a brilliant place, and I'm sure we're going to have a brilliant time and a brilliant game. It's that part of the video though now where I've just got to ask for the score predictions.
Oh.
I hate doing it, but let's do it. Come on, let's
go on then. Let's do it.
I'm gonna have to do two, because I've got your social media manager on at 9 o'clock as well. So I'm gonna have to. We're in a rare vein of form. Not rare vein of form, but very. We're unbeaten since the end of November in the league.
Yeah. Declan Daniels is scoring loads of goals as well, isn't he?
Daniels is scoring for fun, although he didn't score last week.
No.
I'm going to go for, because one, it's a plastic pitch, and two, I've seen your team play and I know how they play, and you're on a run. You're playing quite well at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to go that we'll just nick it, and it'll be 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be goals. That might be a fair score, I think. Yeah. I'd like to think we could nick it. But yeah, I think there'll be goals. I think it'll be an entertaining game. We're a good team, just getting a run of form together. One thing about the Isle of Man, FC, they do seem to raise the game against the better teams. And sometimes you think, crikey, that result, you could see that coming, because that's the way they've done it so many times in the past. I go back to the playoff against Mills, West Didsbury. You guys last year, I know, who did we play at the back end of last year? Avro, with, and yourselves. Excuse me, won all three of those. They've got it in them to win it. I'm sure your fellas won't underestimate us. It'd be a good game.
Yeah. They were three. We were up there. Avro went up, and Wivenshaw were up there, and you put all three of us to the sword. Yeah. So anything can happen, and I look forward to a brilliant weekend. And if I will see you around. So we'll have a pint.
Have a chat and a pint. Yeah.
Mine's an alcohol free, but we'll have a pint.
All right, mate.
Excellent. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you then.
No problem.
Cheers.
See you later, mate.
Huge thanks to Ian for coming on the show and talking to us about FC Isle of Man, his experiences watching them all over the northwest counties, and just what it's like to be the fan of an overseas team, because that's what they are. Once again, really looking forward to getting to the ground and seeing those guys on Saturday. And yeah, don't forget, get down to the Burscough game, get down to the Cheadle game. Let's get behind the lads. Let's push on for promotion, loud and proud. I'll see you in part 2.